air horn. Ba, 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 ba. Yo, 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 Luke Wonderland. Thank you so much for letting me be here with you. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. I'm ready. I'm motivated because this is part two of the LCCC, and it's going to be a blast. We got the best and greatest players again, back at it again, loaded up, playing some decks to start this new set off, and I'm absolutely excited, Luke. I know the players are rip roaring and ready to go. You want to talk about these deck lists real quick before we hop on in there? Okay. 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 Well, no more ice though. So we're done with the ice. We're on CC on coils now. He's actually riding out on his springs. Okay. 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 Respect. Respect. It works. It works. I get it. I get it. I get it. Nice, nice, nice. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a great match. I'm excited to see what how this thing works out because as you stated, Speci's deck is only $43 that he loaded for this tournament today. So if he can manage to have some type of competitive significance, I think playing a $43 deck, I think that could be a good thing for the meta because as you know, these Sapphire cards are incredibly expensive. And to still be somewhat competitive with a deck that's less than $50, I think that'll be a good sign of improvement for the game. Okay. Yeah, and it's not necessarily just the crab. You got the crab, you got the Scrooge, you got the it's a lot. Just those two cards alone, a pretty significant price there. Also, if you're playing the Oswald version, Oswald's increasing in price, so it is becoming a little pricey. But it's not the most expensive deck we've ever had. I think that Green Steel deck for a time with the Diablos and the Beasts, the Robin Hoods at that point, I think that was quite expensive too. And still, people can find a way to negotiate. Hmm. It was Ursula with the yeah. That deck was quite yeah. That deck was quite pricey. But it looks like Sailor has won the dice roll and has elected to go first, obviously, and he's going to be rocking, like you said, the blue the ruby sapphire strategy. If you're not aware, we are in a sapphire meta right now. Sapphire is all over the place, and Sailor is one of the best players to do this sapphire thing. Looks like you're gonna hang on to these sapphire coils. I love the altar art sapphire coils he's got there. I like that little little inclusion there. Hmm. Mm. It's made Mary or Merryweather. Mary is her name Merryweather? Mary Honey Lemon. No, 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 that's not Honey Lemon. That's Honey Weather. We're gonna figure this out. Honey, yeah, something like that. Merryweather. We'll get it. We'll get it. I'm sure the chat will come online. We do have a slight delay, so the chat will come in. They'll set us right. As Sailor's going to start with the patent pending Ink One, play the popsicle, and kick it back on over to Speci. And like you said, man, those burn songs, the Madrigal songs. What is it? This is my family. I think I watched one of his streams and he said, "Hey, this is my family is just not it. It's not what he thought it was." And they did have to submit these decks very early on into the release of these sets, so they didn't get a chance to test a lot. The name of the deck is Zero Games Tested, so it's all in theory. And sometimes your theory is not going to be correct. So we'll see if those cards can come through for him here in the rest of
Well,
this game as we'll just ink the Churnerbog or ink and play the
so
Churnerbog.
I didn't have my mic muted, but I just looked over and none of my sounds were going out of the mic thing. So everything I said might not have been heard.
Oh,
So fantastic.
dude, you were saying some good. It was you were saying some good stuff.
We were on top
Hopefully,
of it for once.
we
I
were.
was doing it.
Oh, dude, Luke, dang it,
I
man. Well, you got to record it. We can weave it into the recording at least. I think.
well, I mean, if OBS wasn't picking up the mic at all, like I don't know.
Oh no. Okay, okay.
So I
But
can't wait to watch messages in chat about my mic being muted.
all right, I'm gonna see. I think we're going live now. I think it should be up. It looks like we're live now. So again, welcome all if you're tuning in. This is the LCCC version 2, the remix. Okay, we're trying to see if it's going to see how it's going to play out. We have EU versus NA, but it's a different format this time. We're going to have a double elimination style of tournament, and it's not really this team cohesion type thing. I think it can be whoever your bracket lines up against, and that's what you play against. So it's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more flexible. We heard the feedback from the community and the players, and I believe the crew. Shout out to Pavel and everyone behind the scenes. They made some good changes to make this thing a little bit better, and I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to this tournament.
Oh, and the chat's already on the can't hear.
Oh, they couldn't hear anyone. Could they not hear me at all?
Well,
we couldn't hear anything.
I talked up first.
Okay.
So they
My
should
bad.
be able to hear you. I
Okay.
double, triple checked right away. I was like, all right, I see JDZ's cam thing. It's flickering. I know. Yeah, see there. So you're holding the fort down for him. Oh,
Okay.
All right. So Specimen starts off with a solid followers into Smee. Now something that's worth noting, because I've played a lot of Chernobog aggressive decks. Not as much Ruby Amethyst, but it is worth noting a lot of people pop their followers when they should not.
That's a good point.
That
Yeah.
lore. If you don't need the ink to play on curve, if they're not going to challenge it, wait a turn. If their whole turn is to spend 3 on a removal on your 1-drop, that's probably fair because it would have hit something else that didn't draw a card anyways. Like, unless you really, really need it, like, be more thoughtful of it. Too many people pop it too early. Now, it is a delicate dance. I've seen people not pop it when they should too, right? Like, it's definitely a skill check.
Yeah, if they got like a capability to rush down on it, or if they got a way to spring forth a way to remove it quite easily, and it doesn't take them off of their tempo or their curve, then you probably should go ahead and pop it. But it looks like we're going to quest the Chernobog, and like you said, had those this is my family's been Maleficent, you'd be on your way right now. You'd be cooking, and it is just so unfortunate
that was
you'd
something
be
that
on.
I didn't get to hear, so I'll re-say it.
Yeah.
Specimen Speci was talking to me earlier, and he was saying that he really wished that those songs were actually 1-cost Maleficents, and so his hand would have been, as JDZ was just saying, a lot better had he had like 3 1-drops there.
Because it looks like he had to. I want to say he had to skip that turn almost. Like he didn't really even do much when he could have had 3 Maleficents on the field, or 2 Maleficents on the field, and been much better off. As you'll go ahead and play the White Rose as well. Excuse me. Yeah, you'll be putting a lot of pressure down on S4iler, who really hasn't. He missed that Tipo that he spoke about earlier as well, and he doesn't really have a character to challenge any of those Maleficents. So they would have gone quest, and you'll be sitting somewhere at 10, maybe 12. Hate to see it if you're Speci.
Yeah. He was saying that he's just too slow, and it's like, yeah, that Smee could have been double Maleficent, so he could be at 2 more lore, or if you put the Maleficent instead of the Chernobog, yeah, that's like 4 to 6 more lore at least.
And it still, S4iler still kind of going along. Has to be feeling confident that Speci's only sitting at 5 with this super aggressive burn deck. You haven't placed a character onto the field yet to get any. You haven't really done anything with these coils. You're kind of just standing by. What are your thoughts on coil? Do you think it's overhyped, overvalued, or do you think it's a fine card balance?
It was definitely overhyped.
Mm-hmm.
Chat came in. It's Honey Marin.
Honey Marin. There it is.
Thank you, chat. Thank you.
I knew we were close though. You said Honey Lemon. I said Merryweather, dude. We were getting there. We were working our way around it. We would have got there.
Honey Marin, Sweet Marin, or Weather, or something like that.
Yeah. We're working. These cards are new. Give us some time, okay? Give us some time to learn them. I take pride in learning all these cards and knowing their names and trying to make sure I'm correct with it. But they're new, and I don't know them all just yet.
S4iler drawing the sale on this turn is a little frustrating for him, unless he grabbed it while I was talking about other things. It's just like, Against the aggressive deck, you don't want to have no ramp and just being a Flaversham on turn 4. It's just a little slow. He can't really ramp into his removal necessarily. So next turn he goes 5 ink into 6. So he's 2 turns from B prep, but Speci is so far back, and the Pete is
too.
The Pete could win him this game. He has a lot of cards in play that don't get banished to Sisu.
Yeah. So it could be tight, especially taking a game on the draw. Would be super huge for Speci in this situation. I know that, like we stated earlier, without those Maleficents, without that early aggression in lower character in the form of a character that this deck needed, I think the matchup is going to be heavily skewed towards Sailor's behalf. But Sailor opened probably as weak as he could have, and just not having the Maui either. So that's going to be tough, because if Speci just says, you know what, I want to start questing.
Interesting.
And he sings it.
I don't like this play necessarily. Mostly because I want to be aggressive.
Right. I think just questing there, maybe even playing it, or I don't know.
So this is a turn that you could consider popping the Chernobog so it doesn't get challenged by the mouse, but at the same time the mouse is probably going to challenge your Smee. So I guess all right. So I would have popped the Chernobog, try to hit an ink, quest with Smee, play Snake, bounce back Smee, play Smee.
There it is. I like that play a lot better. I think that'd have been on its way. And if we're going to go ahead and do neither of that, we're going to go in hard cast for the 1. I think you need those to kind of close out the game, because that Pirate's Life is just going to I think that Pirate's Life is going to come into effect here later on too.
The game's probably over.
If we can get to the point, it's possible.
It's like, I'm Pirate's Lifing, it doesn't matter, you're going to crack back, or I'm Pirate's Lifing and now you can't win the game.
Because we are at 4 ink, potentially going to 6 next turn. But Sailor may not have the ink. Well, you have the Hiram. Hiram can quest again, get 2 more cards that could give you the ink required.
Wait a second. Oh, never mind. Because of the symbol over his ink, I thought he only had 1 ink exerted, but he has 2. So I was just making sure he didn't accidentally play that card for 1, which would be very good. I would be a big fan of that song if it only cost 1 ink.
Okay, so he's going full burn right now and just trying to go playing these actions and trying to maybe close it out with the Snake Cobra, or the Snake.
So he was at
Snake
5.
on Snake.
He gains 4, 6, 7, 8. Yep, up to 12. Flaversham takes down the Smee, and then he quests for 2 to 14. He can Cobra to 16. And then quest, bounce it back, Cobra to 19 is probably his goal. But I think he's gonna have to ink or discard the Pete. He's probably just gonna have to discard whatever he draws. And he can't really Cobra next turn.
No, maybe he's trying to set up. Maybe he's trying to set up for 2 turns. But if he can get 2 turns, and then you can get to Pirate's Life, be prepared area, then I think Sailor could have enough momentum to turn the tides, because his hand is fully loaded and he's got a lot of energy over there. So if he can somehow withstand this volley that Speci's put in, I think he can turn it around. As we're going to think, this is a very complex turn right here. Let's see how Sailor breaks it down, because this could be the game on the line right here at this critical turn.
If Sailor represents B prep next turn, that forces Specimen to play Pete, because if he doesn't play Pete, then he gets B prepped, right?
Yeah.
But playing Pete means he doesn't get to play Viper or Cobra, and then he doesn't get to do that until another turn later. So it slows him down enough turns that but he still does have he does have that Chernobog, which is going to be able to, if Hiram doesn't clear the Chernobog now, he will be able to draw a card from that Chernobog after the quest. So that does free up another card that he could potentially work in with that draw. He gets a draw for turn, and then he gets another draw from the Chernobog. So he could still kind of set up that Snake play after the Pete turn, and that could be a GG. But
the shark is going to complicate things too, as we're going to go ahead and you are correct. We'll go ahead and take down the Shmi with the Flaversham there, taking 1 damage back.
That's so brutal. But
Does
like his hand is 6, 6, 8, 7 uninkables, and then a 6-drop inkable. And the really terrifying thing is that he might have to ink this Pirate's Life.
Ooh,
no, he has 6. He doesn't have to, because Speci's. I feel like Speci has to play the Pete here. Like if he plays Cobra and discards the Pete, and then Sailor just gets to B prep, then like.
I think that might be correct. But I think this Chernobog might have run his course, like you said, and just getting it quested here, getting it drawn, I think might be the play. As like I think this should be a Pete turn right here.
This is what Speci needed. He needed to have a character on 1, 2, 3, and Sailor not have a character or removal on 1, 2, 3. No ramp.
And miss ramp.
2.
No Maui.
No Maui on this turn. The 4-drop was a Flaversham instead of a Grammatala. Granted, like it might not have mattered since the Smee already had 2 damage on it. Oh my.
Oh, that changes stuff
1, 2,
right there.
3, 4, 5, 6. That's he has lethal in hand over the next few turns if he can afford it. I actually think I might just play Goat here.
Yeah.
So if you play Goat, you go to 15. He B preps, you go to 16. Next turn, you play Cobra, you discard. You go to 18. You ink Snake. You play Gather. You go to 20.
Yeah, I think that is the line of play, and that would just force Sailor's hand. He would have to play the Pirate's Life next turn, and I don't know if that's going to be good enough
because the Pirate's Life gets equalized by the 2 characters in play. So then the next turn, if Sailor B preps, he loses.
Oh, that's right. He can't sing it. That's right. He doesn't. I thought he had that shark on the field for some reason, but he inked the shark last turn. He just doesn't have it. So this is looking pretty grim, and he does take your line. He brings down the Goat. The Goat is up. The Goat is active, and Sailor is thinking about it. I'm sure he can kind of feel what's about to happen. And what are we looking for here as we get to the Hideaway, which isn't probably doing very much in this matchup? You got another Popsicle. You have the Sail. He has the right C, and it's looking like it's prep or bust. I think you have to play it, unfortunately.
I think the game's just over, unfortunately, for Sailor. Like he just has 4 pieces of burn in his hand, and like that's the whole point of the deck Speci's playing, is it has that reach.
Yeah,
and if
I think this deck
stumbles.
And going into this, I think this is a deck that needs to be explored and investigated a little bit more as a nice, strong pick. Not even a counter meta pick or anti meta pick, but just a generic strong pick, because just not your opponent not being able to interact. And there are not a lot of cards that can stop lore gain. There's only one that I can think of, that 7-cost Peter Pan, that could just stop people from gaining lore on their turn. It's like it seems very powerful, and going from 15 to 20. It's going to be rough.
So this might be the out. So Medusa takes out the Rose. So now leaving the Goat in play is the same as removing it, right? It quests for 1 or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's still over, because Speci just quests for 1 and bursts out. But Sailor's thought here was now he can play Medusa, and the next turn sing a Pirate's Life and B prep a bigger board. And because of the coil, there's a higher chance that he can shrink something in Sisu if Pete gets played.
Mm-hmm.
He can be like shrink Goat.
We get another bounce too,
Sisu.
so you can.
Doesn't matter. This is Lorthal right here.
Well, look at that. And that's what we talked about. I know a lot of people speculate this Cobra was going to be a menace to society. It looks like he's already coming in strong, doing what you would expect that card to do. And Speci comes on in and takes a game number 1 on the draw, which I didn't see that coming. I thought it would be a play draw thing for sure. But again, he hit the markers. Sailor did not. Sailor didn't get to the textbook blue or ruby sapphire openings, and it's just going to go downhill from there as we're going to get on into this game number 2. Is that how you thought this game was going to go, Luke?
Not necessarily. We kind of expected to see some ramp from Sailor. I mean, we can look at his list here. He has 8 ramps for 2, technically 10. If he goes popsicle on 1, he can hide away on 2. So missing his ramp is pretty rough. He had like plan C or D, which is visions of the future or play coil, right?
Mhm.
Not normally what you want to do. He does know Speci's deck list, so he really didn't like what he had to do, right? He played coil on turn 2 or 3, one of the two.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember if he played coil on 2 or visions on 2 or vice versa. But Speci has 4 benjas, so it's really not what he wants to be doing, because you play coil
True.
on 2 and he just
On 3
curves
is
benja. It's just like I can't make the
yeah.
sound effect from the Street Fighter.
I can't do that. That's so good. You know that's one of my favorite sounds, Luke. But man,
Yeah,
let me hop into the chat real quick. Let's see the chat. They're catching up. The chat is catching up.
Yeah.
They like the suit. They like.
Up.
Thank you. I mean, I got the suit on. This is LCC. Hopefully, you guys are all suited up as well. This is a feature presentation. This is a rare occurrence. Okay, this is not something that you take lightly. It's important. You guys need to be dressed accordingly. So if you're not suited up, go ahead and put it on right now, and let's get right and let's get loose. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Better snake than lever, for those who know that joke.
Better now than never. Better snake than lever. Is there something like that?
So the concept is you're supposed to tell a story joke that is super long, and the point of the joke is to annoy the person you're telling the joke to by making it go on and on and on and on. And when they appear to have finally had it, you end the joke by having like the story involves a dude and he runs over a snake and he says better snake than lever or something like that. 'Cause the lever it's
I've never heard that before. My bad. Okay.
I like weird humor. What can I say?
That's fine, man. That makes you unique. That's your unique personality. As we're going to be getting in.
He's got the ramp.
Look at that.
He's got that turn 2 ramp.
And he does have the brawl as well. And we got the popsicle. This game seems going to be a little bit better for Sailor. I can already see that. The progression.
One thing to note on Speci's list is he's on 4 Chromacons instead of Doc. And when we were chatting earlier, he's like, oh, I really need the Maleficents to win. And I was just like, roll on Doc. And he's like, no, I'm on Chromacon instead. And then he went to talk about how he thinks Chromacon is better than Doc, which is a take.
I got to hear his mind on that. I don't
agree with necessarily, but as we know, I'm a huge Doc stan. And he had even said that he didn't like the bounce package very much once he took out Maleficent, which makes sense. If you're not playing Doc and you're not playing Maleficent, you're not playing Rabbit, the bounce package is not as necessarily good. Fox is still a heck of a card, but he might not necessarily need 4 snakes.
Okay. So, but he did go back to the snakes though. The bounce made it back in. I think bounce with the goats, bounce with the cobra just seems way too strong to not be considered in a deck like this. But I could be wrong, as they show great value. Well, not great value, but they were pretty good in that match. They could have had immense value in that last game.
I forgot we have these fancy things, fancy in quotations. So boom, he's got 1 victory star card next to his name.
Look at that. Always I love the stream. I love the layout. The overlay looks very crisp and clean. Hopefully the viewers at home are enjoying this. If you're not following the Wonderland program, please do that.
A few things that need to be changed.
It's looking good.
I'm gonna have to suck up to Sailor and be like, please design me like a name bar layout that's better than the ones I'm using, but they will do for now.
It looks good. I still think it looks good. As we go ahead and start with the turn 1 popsicle.
He's shaking it at the screen. He's telling his chat right now. He's like, this should be Maleficent. Yeah. I can tell.
It'll be so good. Yeah, in both of those games, even in that previous game, had that been Maleficent, you put down on turn 1 and you just get at least 2 for sure. Right away, you're getting 2 out of it. And it feels so miserable to stare down, and it's uninkable too. Hate to see it. You hate to see it, man. You do have some 1-cost plays that you can put down in the form of Diablo and Broom. I think maybe Broom here. I don't know. What's the priority here? If you're going to be on turn 1, you have double Broom Diablo.
So I probably lead on Broom. And the reason for this is if Sailor plays a Tipo, he gets to challenge away the Diablo.
Okay. Okay. So let's see if Speci agrees with that
But
take.
he has an interesting hand where he could go double 1-drop on 2. The problem with that is I think I agree with that. Like, you keep the Diablo for later when either of them get hit. You at least quest and they have to answer it, and it might gain 2 more. So this way I think he's gonna ink the goat. I think he has to, even though he might be trying to like hold it as long as he can.
Yeah.
He's either inking goat or whatever he draws, so he can ink place me next turn, ink place me Diablo, or a better 1-drop if he draws it. So
Gotcha.
like that's like a really good curve he wants to do. And you'll see a lot of these aggressive decks really high on 1s and 2s, so they can go double 2-drop on turn 4 or 2-drop 1-drop on turn 3. You don't need the 3-drops necessarily, although they quite help with singing songs.
And he does have that song in hand. Hopefully, I think it can have some value for him, because I know he feels bad. He keeps picking it up, and there's nothing to do. You just gotta stare down this uninkable mess in your hand. But it is what it is.
It does things, and
it does.
He just doesn't want it now. He wants to draw it. I don't know about you, but I've lost to Ruby Sapphire quite a few times. I did it on stream at NA Continentals. I got to 19 lore and lost the game. I had it planned that all I had to do was draw any character and I could quest out and I would win, and I drew Cove. And then I got into the position that every character I played for the rest of the game after that was answered. And that is where cards like
This Is My Family.
This Is My Family and Gathering Knowledge shine, because you're like, family, draw, dock, draw 2, go.
Strong. All right, so we get to the Grandma Tala, who's going to be able to check down this board as we get into the Benja. And Benja popping Popsicle isn't the worst thing, and he's also quested for 2 as well. Let's see if Speci elects to go with that line, or we're going to hang on to this goat even longer. Maybe you can put the Smee down. You can put down the bird now if you want it. I don't know. Let's see how he breaks this down. I love these intricate plays here, and he's approaching the mid-game point, because this is where it gets critical. These are where your decisions matter and what you put down to the inkwell.
It's crazy.
You could win or lose the game literally right here, and it's always really cool to see how it works out.
There's a chance Speci pushes the Benja to answer the item to shut off Flaversham, but what he would walk into is Coil, Ink, Brawl Smee, Banish, or trade Tala with Smee and then just brawl the Benja to answer 2 more lore, and then Speci has nothing, because it really depends on if Speci pops this Broom or not. If Speci is just like, whatever, I'm going to quest with Broom and Smee and play Benja, then he's probably challenging Broom, brawling Smee, leaving Benja in play, because Benja will get answered hopefully in a turn or 2 to Sisu. But Sailor also kind of has a kind of rough spot. If Speci does answer this Popsicle, that means that Flaversham might have to eat Coil to draw cards, and he's going to have to draw more
to even make it to that Sisu. There's going to have to be a refill here soon. So this is very interesting. This is a critical spot. So I understand that he's got to slow down just a little bit to kind of make this critical decision. But at the same time, these matches are not timed, so you do have to respect your opponent. And let's keep this thing moving a little bit as you're deep in the vault trying to come up with the best possible play.
Do you think you would like this more if it was best of 5?
In the LCCC as best of 5, I think that might be a little, maybe the finals or maybe the top 4 we can go best of 5, but I think throughout the entire double elimination as a best of 5, I think that might be a bit long in the tooth. I would love it personally, because I would just love more matches.
If we're only doing 1 match a day,
yeah, I would love more content. I would love more, just more reps too, and just seeing these players play, because every time I participate in the LCCCs, I feel as if I'm getting better, because these guys are really good. These guys and gals are really good at this game, and just seeing their thought process live,
on my door.
I think it's critical, very important. All right, so now Speci is going to go for it. We're going to go ahead and get down the Smee. We're not going to go with the Benja play. We're going to play the Smee, quest the Smee, play out the Chernobog, and then we're going to kick it back on over to Sailor. And then we're going to go ahead and get the Sapphire Coil online. So now we deploy the Sapphire Coil, and things can get a little twisted when you start coiling, as we will coil up. We will reduce the Smee, and then Grandma Tala can clean up the Smee quite cleanly. And that is a true power of the Sapphire Coil. If you're taking down a card that usually would go 1 for 1, and you're able to reserve your ink to play the Brawl to take out another character. So that is a true power of Coil. Usually Grandma Tala will trade with the Smee. That play happens all the time. Now no more with Sapphire Coil. So
Coil coming in being like, that ain't a trade, son. That's just removal.
That's great. That's good. That's good. Fair adjacent.
Pay a card. They had to play the Coil, and the Coil itself is negative card advantage. It does nothing without other things.
But you got to just
ink to activate it. You have to then have the removal or the character. Now, granted, it's easy to ink. It's easy to have removal. It's easy to have characters a challenge. But these things, like, they line up. It's just like Rapunzel. Well, it's not as good as Rapunzel, but I mean that, like, it's super good when it's good, but how many games have you played that your opponent doesn't allow a Rapunzel trap? There's a reason people storm their own characters. And Speci was patient and got slightly rewarded for it, I would say.
I know that was a heads up. That was definitely a heads up play, because that Benja could have hit the popsicle, and then Coil could have just ran you down for the rest of the game. So
but Sailor is in a great spot.
For sure.
He gets to just play Medusa. Oh, he flips it. He's just like, come on, give me the ink. Give me the ink. I mean, that's not a card he wants to ink, but at the same time, like, I think holding the Flaversham might be better.
I was thinking, like, how insane would it be to get to hear him into the inkwell right now and just say, just say whatever.
He has to draw 2 more cards to ink to play the Sisu, which doesn't do much. I think he has to keep this Flaversham.
Yeah. So
the question is, what if he Flavershams this turn? No.
Flaversham now? As Sailor will also take a trip into the thought vault, little brain palace journey.
In those, like, 2 seconds, he, like, swapped 5 cards out, and although his hands didn't move at all, like.
As he's thinking about it. Excuse me. And we did mention too before your mic was on that Sailor has the Maleficent mat that Speci wishes he had in his deck. That's very ironic. I don't know if he did that as a troll, or is he doing that as he's being serious. As Grandma Tala will trade with the Smee this time, as now the board is clear. That's pretty funny.
Board's clear. He gets to draw cards. But he has 4 ink.
He does have 4, so now tough. He can get Benja. He can Benja the popsicle here, and Hiram looks so much worse now. I think maybe your play was correct.
Just also, it's weird. Like, you want to play Benja. I think he's thinking about singing the song first to draw an inkable, and then playing Benja if he draws the inkable, and if he draws another uninkable, then just playing the Gather.
Ooh, so he gets to the White Rose
over the Rose, right?
I think so.
This is brutal for our hero Sailor. But
and at that, so now Hiram's looking a little bit worse as we get another draw. We'll go another Medusa off the top. So Medusa gang back to back, taking down Benja again. Back to back Medusa, back to back Benja. Love to see it if you're Sailor. And now you got a strong board presence as these goats are about to start raining down. So pay 4, slam goat, gain 1, pass.
Coil? Coil would require an ink still, though. It's kind of rough. It's brutal to have to play Sail, but he needs that.
And there it is. Look at that.
Literally that. Does it hit an inkable that he wants to ink?
Oh, yes, it does. Oh, my goodness.
Of all the cards to hit, you're like, get this Tipo out of here.
He's too good.
And then he hits.
And he's alive. He's too strong.
Visions.
Oh, my goodness. What a series of draws, dude. Sailor is too strong. As you're going to.
This does not feel good. No one likes losing to Ruby Sapphire when they're doing this. And it's why it's such a good deck.
Oh, it's my goodness.
Oh, we're dooming and glooming, and then one popsicle, like, just goes,
But that was a series of That was a series of unfortunate circumstances for Speci there. As we went Sail into
There's a lot
Popsicle, into
worse.
Hiram, into the Pirate's Life, into a Medusa Quest, and now you're gonna have to you're
He's
stumbled
one,
on your
two,
back foot.
three, four,
As
five. He has 5 uninteractable, so he's at 17-ish lore. If he can get that extra, or 17, 13-ish, if he can get that extra 7. He drew another popsicle.
Look at that. So he's really, really humping and pumping now. He's got the engine flowing. He's doing the Ruby Sapphire. He's really feeling it, playing with some speed and some tenacity as he's trying to get to. We'll set up the Sapphire coil number 2 as these two Medusas are looking ready to munch on some goat, it seems, as we will go ahead and ink. No, we'll play the Vision first.
So this also makes it seem like he might have had to have drawn into the brawl.
Yeah.
So then he gets to keep the shark.
Ink Sail will put minus, looks like, and we will hit the goat, brawl it, and then clear it. That's just 2. So I give you 10, it looks like, but 10, and you're holding 2 and you're holding 3 in hand.
7 more. But he's gone through 2 of the cantrip songs. Chromacon would actually be very good for him. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Oh,
so he's
yeah.
at 14 lore. And his snake gets to put him at 15. It's an interesting game.
You got to bounce it here.
I don't know if there is more LCC matches today. I don't.
Yes, there is actually. They're going to be one. We got the ICL going tonight. After the ICL, you got myself and Red Rose. We're going to have Mr. Bivens and Diego Saz 9001 are going to be playing tonight. And the late night show, it's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune in to that. I'll be in the booth holding it down 10 p.m. Eastern, myself and Red Rose.
Instead of the post ICL show is going to be jumping into the LCCC match.
Nice. Oh yeah. It's gonna be nice at the late night show. So stay tuned.
I'm assuming it's 2 NA players.
It is.
Which would be why they can play at 10 p.m.
Yeah. I was about to say, because I was like 10 p.m. I saw the time. I was like, wow, I'm down with that. I like a little late night grind. I'm down with some late night activity. So let's do it. We'll ink the brawl. We got another coil. We got the Happy as a Clam down. We got Hiram questing, and it looks like Sailor is just on his way, just trying to get exerted, trying to get loose, trying to get some lore, and trying to get out of here and steal this thing before Speci can find some more answers. As Pete is not as huge as he usually is in this type of situation.
Sisu.
Yeah,
like the Sisu is gonna come in and do some rude stuff.
It gets you up to 15, but this double coil Sisu is about to just pack your bags and send you right on into game number 3 here, it seems, as this might be too much to overcome. As
Japanese Enchanted Maui, perfect timing because we needed an inkable.
And he is in the inkwell. Oh, that card looks so nice. I like the Japanese cards so much. I love them so much. I think they're so cool. And we're breaking one of the coils. Okay. I was thinking for sure maybe he didn't have, did he have the ink? He had the ink to
He already inked.
Okay, he did ink. Oh, he already got the effect off the coil, so I guess you don't need it. Never mind. And then you could just play this Sisu and yeet the whole board, and the game pretty much comes to a screeching halt right there at that moment. In a little under 90 minutes from now, there will be a second match, LD versus Domingo. I got to get the schedule. I don't have the full schedule.
Ooh,
I think I'll work on that. I'll work on that tonight too, and just get that added in, and maybe put it into the stream so we can know.
Sure we rate it.
LD versus Domingo. We can find out. Let me find out right now, and I'll pull that up and we can share. As they're still cooking right here. It looks like Speci is pretty much on his last resort right now, just trying to find a way, never giving up, always playing it through, which I do appreciate. And it's Cobra.
Cobra's
okay. Cobra
17. All right, so if he plays Cobra, discards to Pete, and Sailor does nothing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He goes to 19 lore, passes the turn, and Speci draws Gathering
This is my family.
Knowledge.
No, this is my family into a gathering knowledge.
Or this is my family into Rose, or two in a row, or a Merry Weather.
Yeah, Honey Marin.
Melon Weather.
Honey Marin. We had it. It was Honey Marin. Honey Marin.
We had it. We forgot it. You know what? Let's just pop up the deck list. Honey Marin. There
Honey
we
Marin.
go.
Mary. We're terrible.
That's not how you get lethal, Speci.
I think he's just trying to get another guy up and then set up that play. Yeah, this is pretty cooked.
But this
doesn't.
It's impossible for him to get 5 lore, right?
Well, he can draw. He can if he gets. So I think he's trying to set himself up for a top deck. This is my family to a draw into a Pete quest. Well, Pete needed to quest, obviously, but that didn't happen.
Yeah. The character needed to quest no matter which one he played. So,
yeah,
I mean, we knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But
and he had another snake anyway. So that's going to be a GG.
He's like, play discard.
Oh, he just quest out and GG. All right, so I'm gonna pull up the schedule real quick so we can kind of see where the LCCC action is going to be for everyone who's interested. I love the LCCC. I'm a huge fan of the LCCC. So it's going to be, like I said, tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. You got myself and Rudrose are going to be streaming the Zach Bivens versus Diego Saz match, level 9001, two phenomenal players. And then
that's
going to be on my channel. Okay. And then tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, you have Kurt Spice and Theo Time. That's going to be on Earl Meister's channel with Earl Meister and Y Breezy. And then on, let's see, on the 14th, we have, who is this? Mo and Fedemico are going to be playing. That's here on your channel with you and Dan on the 14th at 10 a.m. Another early one. Oh man, can you handle that, Luke? Can you handle that 10 a.m. start time? Are you ready for that?
10 a.m. for me?
No, 10 a.m. Eastern.
So it's 11 for me.
No, it's earlier because you're Central.
No.
10 a.m. East. Yeah, it's like 8 a.m. 9 a.m.
That's 9 a.m. I have to wake up.
Okay.
At 7 a.m. normally take my kid to school.
Okay.
But that's this week, so I will have to actually set an alarm for that. For some reason, my kid is off of school for an entire week.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I need to set a 5-minute timer to make sure that the ad goes off during the break. I messed it up last time, and as soon as the break started, I was like, oh, ad. Like, let's get this out of the way. And so it doesn't happen during the match because I haven't streamed in 2 days, but somehow I have 0 snoozes.
Oh, and that's when they're talking about. So there is going to be another stream going into the Earl Meister. We're going into the Earl Meister, and Rudrose are going to be on Earl's stream here March 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern. That is going to be LD versus Dom. So everyone tune into that. I think the LCCC is great. I think you get a nice sneak peek of what the meta is going to be like. And this one is also very interesting too, because after each round, the players are allowed to change their deck list. That didn't happen last time. So the new changes are going to be double elimination. And after each round, the players will be allowed to switch their deck list, but they have to stay in the same colors that they had that they've been using. So it gives players a lot of opportunities to, as the meta changes, as the meta develops, they can change their strategies and add new cards in. And it's just going to help everyone else to see what they're doing and to get different takes on what it is. So I think it's a great include, a great change. Excuse me. As it looks like Sailor's hand is not great. That is not an idealistic start. I believe that's a post-alter start as well. I missed what was sent back, but this hand looks absolutely heinous. He's going to have to work hard to get out of this situation. He's going to need the deck to be very favorable as well, as that hand is looking the opposite of groovy, unless he has not sent back yet. I don't call. I was looking at the Discord trying to get the LCCC information, but that bad boy is looking. Hopefully he hasn't altered already. I don't think he has. He's looking way too confident and calm, because I'd be freaking out right now had I ended with that hand. So he's looking way too chill. So I don't think he has yet. Unless he has, then he's just succumbing to his wounds and feeling the doom spreading already. Looks like Speci is thinking of how the play is going to go, trying to manage these Petes. Pete is a great card in this matchup, especially later down the stretch. As we're continuing to think, and Speci is going to go ahead and alter 3. So Sailor has not altered yet, so that's a great sign. And he's just probably going to send it all. Let's see. I'd probably get it all. I'd probably get it all out of there. What do you think on this?
You would have altered Speci's whole hand?
No. From Sailor's point of view.
How much did he alter? Oh.
Yes.
He agrees.
Yeah.
I'm kidding him. No turn 2 ramp.
He had turn 2. He had no turn anything. He had turn nothing. He had like his earliest play was like a turn
Honeymelon
3
Weatherman. Yep. That's the name. Militia
please don't do that. Malicious, please don't do that. I'm trying to learn these names and you're about to jack me up. It's going to make it even worse. Please, I'm begging you, don't do that.
All right. He's on the draw. He didn't hit turn 2 ramp. But he has Coil. Speci has Benja.
It's gonna be an interesting match. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one. If you guys like what you see, make sure you keep following the LCCC. Shout out to Pavel. Shout out to Pixborn, and make sure you throw a follow. If you haven't followed, all the new people in here, make sure you guys are following the Wonder Twitch as well. The ICL is something that's also happening tonight as well. So if you like this kind of stuff, you'll also probably like the ICL as well. Just another way to see competitive players do their thing. So tune into that. It'll be happening tonight, and then it's gonna be today is just a jam-packed Lorcana Wednesday. Okay, so stay tuned and keep it locked. Don't touch that dial and get your seat backs up and upright and wake up. Okay, don't be out here sleeping either. Everyone's sleepwalking over here on this Wednesday. It's hump day. Let's lock in as Speci is trying to get the dub, trying to steal one here from Sailor, who is probably odds-on favorite, probably one of the people to at least top this tournament or potentially win this tournament. He's a very strong player, and Speci taking a dub off of Sailor in a match here in the early rounds of the LCCC would be huge for him. Not so much for Sailor, huge for EU as well, to put Sailor down into the loser's bracket in round number 1.
I was like, I'm going to put the team logo for Sailor up here, completely forgetting that that's where the victory cards go.
It's okay. It's okay. We get victory. Maelstrom all day. Okay. Maelstrom every day. Maelstrom opportunity. We gotta be non-biased. Okay. Non-biased in the booth. As we're going to go ahead and send the giant Cobra down, play the Chernobog. Speci's not hanging on to any of those. This is my family this time.
So
leaving those in the deck.
It does look kind of advantaged for Sailor, but at the same time, for Speci, because of the Benja, the lack of a turn 2 jump, but he doesn't really have card advantage or reach. So if he doesn't play those types of cards, like there's a world that he just gets shut off around like 10 lore, and then kind of like what happened last game. Is it the oh my
goodness. Look at that, dude. What
better lucky than good. Best to be both.
Sailor's cracked, dude. He's cracked insane. Sailor is cracked insane with that sale right there on the timeline.
Benja, my Coil? Not today, friend. Not today.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good for Sailor to come on in and hit that sale.
I dare you, Sailor. Ink that sale this piece. I dare you to.
I think he's trying to keep the Vitalosphere. He's trying to keep the
I think he's
Coil
between those two, which he wants to ink. The Vitalosphere and the Visions.
And he does get to the sale. So still the sale is great. That'll allow you to get to the Grand Mortala. That'll allow you to get, and you got the how far I'll go too. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's not the best in this type of matchup, but it's still a pretty good card. Adds another to your Inkwell, get one to your hand.
Being able to Flaversham and then sing Sales, like, not bad. There's also a world that if Speci blows up the Popsicle, then he plays Grammatala.
I even think the Grand Mortala might be favorable over Hiram right now anyway, just to get that body to swing on something if you need. So we'll see how Sailor breaks it down, because I'm always interested to see how these Ruby Sapphire players do it. When you have Hiram and Grand Matala in this type of matchup, which one do you prefer? Because when I'm playing Ruby Sapphire, I feel like I get that one wrong very consistently, and
I think it's
I
board
just
status. Like
yeah.
it depends on if you have to challenge. If
Mm-hmm.
like kind of there. Like if they have a bunch of characters and are beating down, the Grammatala can be better because it gives you a card right away. Whereas if you
Mm-hmm.
have to challenge with your Flaversham, it's drawing no cards if Benja happens.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to see what that next turn looks like. But now it's on Speci, and Speci has a decision to make going into turn number 3. Is it ever? Are you afraid of Hiram that much where you can just binge this popsicle? I think it still might be worth it. I think just having that popsicle, having the threat of Hiram, since you have 0 lore, especially Hiram is a fine play to go into right now, and then get the 2 cards and then potentially sing. So I think cracking that popsicle right now, I think might be a good value. Or you can go 2
I think
characters
it's
here.
fair. So if he's gonna ink a Benja, I don't think he can play a Benja here. I think he has to play the 2-drop and the 1-drop,
Mm-hmm.
and try to go fast.
Okay.
Are they? Is their lore counts not working?
It might not be working. Okay, so we'll have to keep score onto ourselves. I don't know what the actual score is, because sometimes Pixelborn does glitch. The
So he played followers on turn 1. He quested for 1. He played this. Then on turn 3, he quested. So he's at Speci's at 4.
Okay, I'll try to keep score myself in the booth. So we got Speci at 4, and we got Sailor at 0 still. Yeah, I think sometimes there's a glitch. Maybe they might have to do a little quick reset to get the scores right, but we're still on top of it. As we'll just go back
I
and come
think
back in.
they're trying to fix it for us here.
Okay, nice. But in the interim, let's hop back into the chat and let's see what's cracking, as everyone is lit
Go.
for game number 3. Everyone is lit for the game 3 of the round 1 of the LCCC. I love to see it. Make sure you guys get your predictions in. Who do you think is going to win the game number 3 in this all important round number 1? Right now, I would call this game state quite even. So who do you guys think is going to win in the future? Coming from the future, everyone's got a lot of Sailor supporters out there. We have some Speci supporters out there. And it looks like we're going to continue to aggress the board. Grand Matala was the choice here to try to fight back for some of that tempo, as we stated. And it looks like the Hiram actually made its way into the Inkwell. Interesting indeed. Yeah, we had to get out of there just to fuel this Grand Matala. And you're trying to set up this Maui that next turn. It would have been really cash money if you could have the Maui down behind that Sapphire Coil, which is also gone now. No, Sapphire Coil's back there. I see it behind how far I'll go. And so, wow, this is a pretty good turn. Again, Speci's really in the think tank here, trying to decide what the best course of action is.
So it's like if you turn in both of your cantrips to draw, your onboard clock greatly shrinks. You go from 6 lore to 2. Because he's definitely... You actually go to 0. He doesn't know that, but we know that there's a Maui. So he'll go to whatever he has in play here. Probably... maybe Benja. It's tough. I guess we're drawing ink so we can afford to ink. I was like, do you just play the Benja and keep gather in hand and try to like use every scrap of card advantage you have? Or are you inking Benja and playing... Okay, so we're trying to take advantage of every piece of lore we can get right here, and that's kind of what this deck has to do. It's like that changes things drastically for him.
And that it might be tough though. So now he's going to have this Sapphire Coil that is going to be set up, and I think that could be enough to run away with it.
He's got it now. He inks Goat and plays this because of the Chromacon. It allows him to just like dump everything, and Sailor's going to have to answer it every turn. And he's at 10 lore, which is a bit. He's going to go to 13, 14, 15 with a card in play that over the course of 3 or 4 turns might give him everything he needs. And Sailor is a little far behind.
And is it time to... Will you have time to even make it to the Be Prepared? Yeah. So both Smees are down. That leaves you with a total of 3 right now, with 2 in hand
But
and a Chromacon.
but this is one reason why I like Doc more than Chromacon, because the Chromacon might just give Sailor the pirate's life he needs, right? Like
True.
it
Very
might
true.
actually give him what he needs.
Give him the be prepared, give him the pirate's life, give him the ink, give him the whatever, because he could in theory still be bricked unplayable with uninkable cards, and then you just give him the answer he needs. A little technological indifference. We're getting back into it. The players are still grinding, as it looks like Speci's going to be on the approach. He's got the Diablo, the Chromacon, and Gathering Wisdom. Excuse me. Quest up, go to 13. Maybe he leads this Diablo. Diablo Chromacon doesn't seem half bad.
I think you
Perhaps.
play Chromacon and activate it and see what you get.
Hmm.
Because you might get a good 2-drop you want to play over the Diablo. You might just get a bad inkable that you don't want at all that you can ink and then play Gather and Diablo. You do get to draw a card as well off of the broom.
The broom. Oh yeah.
If you want. You might not though. Like because of Chromacon, you might just leave it in play, and because we know Maui's eating Benja.
But he
So
also could. He also have that Medusa that's coming in.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know that.
But yeah, like I think you just go double Diablo pass here. Don't draw. I would not draw here.
Let's see if he draws.
Nope.
No trigger. Wow, Speci's locked in, dude. Speci's feeling it. He's feeling exactly what you're saying, and he goes. He does exactly what it is. As we're still having some connectivity issues, we're getting it. We're getting it ready. Yo, shout out to behind the scenes. Shout out to the judge.
There's a lot of reach in this list.
We're getting it. We're getting it going. We got S John 03. What's S John's actual name? I'm so used to these handles. And Ellie, we got Phil in the building. Pavel's in there holding it down too. So shout out to all the judge and all the staff and everyone making this thing go, keeping
What's
it rocking.
John's real name? It's John.
Is it S John? I say S John. I saw the S John. Is it just straight John? That's what's up. Well, shout out to John.
Butcher his last name if I try to say it. I want to say it's like Sato or.
Okay.
That's wrong. I'm saying that just because
it's honey. It's honey. It's John Honey Weather Lemon, dude. That's what it is.
I know we have player cards of them.
I was way off.
John Honey Melon Weather.
Yeah, that's what it is. As we'll continue to draw, so it's coming together. The plan is coming together. We are going to get a double quest in with these 2 Diablos, and then we'll play another broom. And this is not looking out of the woods yet for Speci, who's going to be able to gather for 2, go up to 15.
I kind of think Speci might win this game. I'm pretty sure Speci is pretty advantaged here. There has to be a pirate's life from Sailor.
A part of the equation.
Like, if he could have sang Pirate's Life and then played B prep here, he's in a good spot. Otherwise, like that's a lot of. I mean, I guess he gets to take both down, but then Speci draws 2 cards, and most of Speci's cards gain a lore.
I think is it even worth probably brawling this broom as well, just to get it off the board, and then maybe you can get it somehow far all goes going through as well, and maybe you get some more. How much ink do you have?
I think he's going to have to ink the coil. And so he's not going to go for the how far, he'll go for the visions.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Just looking for the pirate's life, because I think if you can land a pirate's life here, I think you might be okay adjacent. I mean, maybe not completely good, but for sure okay.
If he hits B prep, like he did, but he can't play it right now. I was thinking he could like sing both how Farl goes and play B prep in the same turn, but obviously he cannot do that.
Yeah, because he definitely played the vision, and I think he inked already this turn as well. So we're just gonna keep refreshing, getting it right, getting the lore.
The lore counts and inks weren't.
Oh, so we got Speci at 17. Wow.
Okay, that changes things drastically.
That changes everything. Holy, that changes it all. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Speci's gonna win this.
Yeah, there's really not a lot you can do to stop that, unless because you might have to brawl. You can brawl the broom. You can challenge and banish both of the Diablos, and then you can hope. You would have to hope. Yeah, and then you can come in with.
You just don't have more goat things. Well, there's Lethal.
Oh, that's it. That's literally the game right there. 3
Good
cards.
thing that's not a Maleficent.
Good thing.
I mean, he has
And look at that.
the honey melon that he could use anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, he's gonna use that instead too, because he's like, this isn't
Look at
Maleficent.
that. GG's, man. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. And Speci gets the dub with the $40 special. It's going to come on in and take down S4iler. I didn't realize that the life was off that much. Shout out to the refreshing, but it seems like Speci came out and he was just able to burn, turn sideways, get loose, get squirrely, and get to the absolute Dublinsky as S4iler goes down in round number 1. And, Speci's got to love to see it. S4iler's gotta be like, man, I wish I'd have drawn a little bit stronger there. I wish I'd have just had it go a little bit different, but it is what it is. You have to accept that. It's all going to be a part of the game. All right. But I think we're probably going to get both players to come in and say a couple of things and talk to you guys real quick. From my end, thank you guys for coming in. I'm sure Luke appreciates it as well. We do appreciate it. The LCCC is a special time of the year.
I think we'll have a little bit of an after show for a little bit, JDZ, after
Okay.
the interviews. I'm going to mute you here, so you're going to have to unmute in Discord. All right, S4iler. Kind of a rough game 1 for sure. In game 3, it kind of just looked like Speci had everything he needed. What are your thoughts on the match so far?
Game 1 was obviously me low rolling with no turn 2 ramp, but also a lack of shark and in general the cards that I needed. Game 2, even though I didn't have the shark again, I was able to deploy enough Medusa for it to work, but still not exactly what I wanted to do. I could never do the turn 2 ramp, turn 3 ramp, turn 4 shark, which was my objective in the matchup. In game 3, my starting hand was absolutely abysmal, so I shipped 7. Didn't find a turn 2 ramp, but I was on the draw and a popsicle, so I figured between the 3 next draws, maybe I have a chance, and I did. But then he had like a very, very, very good draw, like the 2 Smees. Maybe if I had specifically Tipo on 2 and then find a Pirate's Life there at the end, I could have had a chance, right? That's why I was keeping Vision for so long. Just like envisioning that after the Tala, Maui, Medusa, I would be able to find some time to actually play the Vision and sing the Pirate's Life with the Medusa. Which would have been potentially pretty good there. I was set up for Big Sisu next turn, right? So as long as I could have found some number of Pirate's Life or Shark, I think I could have made it, even against his best draws, but obviously it was pretty tough there. He dumped his whole hand and then drew the Karmicon to refill. I felt favored into it, but obviously as it is with TCGs, anything can always happen, and obviously Speci played pretty well. So yeah.
For sure. That is the nature of trading card games. And you are going to be back on the Sisu on Ice. Have you had any other decks that you've been playing in this set 8 or set 7? Excuse me, set 7 meta. Have you tried anything with items? I know you're going to be red blue through and through, but have you tried any other strategies? And I know that throughout the rest of this tournament, you're able to change your deck. Is there any other things you've been looking at in this set 7 meta in terms of Ruby Sapphire?
I have played other decks than Ruby Sapphire for sure. I always try to be on top of the other decks as well, either to know how to play against them, or just to see if there's something very, very good that I can play myself. I think Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel are both at the top of the meta, and they're pretty 50-50 into each other. And Ruby Sapphire is, I think, better when it's not the best deck in the format, right? It's just like go a little bit more under the radar. Not exactly, but like if Sapphire Steel is the best deck and people are targeting it, then you have a good opportunity to go a different route and don't go item yourself too much so that you don't get the retaliation out of the 8 towards the Sapphire Steel item list. But at the beginning of the set, I was certainly trying a more item-focused Ruby Sapphire build. I had some very, very good results early on against like testing mates and stuff like that. With a version that was playing the 2-drop Gaston from set 1 into the coil, being able to take out the SME, right, and surviving the trade, and then potentially like Quill on the following turn and like surviving a Cobra, right? Like it was putting a ton of work. But as soon as Bell was revealed and everybody was playing Cindy Storm and in their Sapphire Steel deck, it didn't really work enough. Right?
You put them right back into the bulk bin and said, "Hey, maybe another day for you guys.
Yeah,
not right now. You're done. You're done.
See you later, Gaston." But it was very promising. But yeah.
Okay, but I just want to thank you for playing. But I'm gonna kick it over to Speci, who's here now, who got to the dub. A lot of people thought you were the underdog. A lot of people thought you didn't really stand a chance in this matchup, especially without your coveted Maleficent in there. Okay, you didn't have the Maleficents in your deck. We thought it was over for you, but you somehow managed to find a way. The This Is My Family actually came through quite huge. They looked fairly decent. Can you just talk about that deck? What made you bring that deck? Why are you playing a $40 deck? Is it a personal choice? Are you trying to make a statement? Are you trolling? Like, what is going on with you in that deck? Can you just talk about it really quick?
Yeah, I mean, I think firstly, like, commiserations to Sailor, because I think luck was very much on my side in this one. Obviously, didn't start that lucky with losing the die roll, but that was kind of negated by the fact that Sailor bricked game 1 in terms of like missing ramp. And then in game 3, like, I honestly hit the best curve really I could have. I didn't test the matchup a ton, but I did like a few practice matches against Moyen. So big shout out to him for helping me practice. Obviously, a good friend of mine. And I lost. I went in my testing. I went second twice and lost both times, and I went once first and lost. So I knew I was kind of up against it, but I kind of understood some of the mistakes I might have made. Like his half shark on the board can basically just chain actions with the Chromacon, for example, and he can gain like a ton of lore in a short space of time. Obviously, the Pirate's Life's there. But I do have like the tools to try and beat him, and I certainly got very lucky to win game 1 with the fact he bricked. And I have to say, game 3, I don't think I could have drawn better. Like after my opening mulligan, I didn't have any uninkables in hand. Like you don't want the Gathering Knowledge and Family in hand. You don't want the Gathering Knowledge or This Is My Family, and I want the Chromacon as well. But the thing is, I kind of said that if I had Chromacon in my opening hand, I'm not sure if I would have kept it. I think I probably would have mulliganed it away and just hoped I drew it at the right time, because I felt like I was up against it. I didn't have to make that decision. I didn't draw it until like the perfect moment in this game. So I got quite lucky. I do think I made some nice plays. Like I had the Benja option on 3 to take out the Porpsicle, but instead I went for a second Smee and a 1-drop just to have a wider board and create basically 1 extra lore as well, right, and 1 extra threat. Because I made the read that with like 5 or 6 cards in hand, he's probably not going to play Hiram on turn 3 anyway, and he ended up inking it and playing Atala, and then the Benja came through the following turn. But basically I wasn't able to test before this tournament properly. I have like a bit of a self-made rule that I don't play until the cards are out, because obviously my job is as a content creator. I've been streaming like every day so far since the set's come out for like 8-10 hours, and I don't think I would have that same level of enjoyment of the game if I'd already been practicing before the cards were out. So while I hadn't been practicing, I did build so many decks, and it's always like I just tried to read like what is the average deck my opponents are going to be playing, and I very much expected it to be lots of Sapphire and Amethyst with Benjas and Pete's is pretty good. It was the Giant Cobra really which made me want to play the like burn style of deck, which we're apparently we're now I'm trying to ship. We're calling it a story deck because in Lorcana, if you get to 20 lore, you get like a story star. So it's a story deck rather than a burn deck. That's what we're going with.
I like it. I like it.
But the Cobra obviously is a dual link card, so you can only play it in Amethyst Steel. It's kind of comparable to a Super Goof. It's not like light years ahead. The thing is with it, you need like a ton of cards in hand. And I looked at like Rabbit, it's too slow. I've played Dock decks previously, but I just felt like I wouldn't really have enough cards in hand to actually get the Cobra performing that well with Dock. I didn't really fancy Dock decks in general. Particularly, you'll know I didn't even play the Maleficent because I thought she's going to be too weak up against Sapphire Steel. That was the kind of logic on that one. But yeah, I just felt like this deck had a lot of legs. I think Honeymarin's really strong. The Cobra, This Is My Family caught my eye, which I've turned out not to like too much in this one. But basically the idea is you just gain a ton of lore early, which obviously Maleficent definitely helps. And then you lose the board in the late game. But with the Chromicon, you can just keep drawing more story cards. And you've also got the option of making a play like at 5 ink, you can go like Pete double 1-drop or something like that. And obviously that would stop B prep. Against Sailor's deck, with the coils and the Sisu, he might still be able to board clear me. But against most decks, that would give me like more questing power. Right. Like whatever way you play like these burn decks or story decks, as I'm calling them now, you're going to have like 50 Amethyst cards. So the question is really, it's like, what are the best cards in the game that you can pair with this deck? And I decided it was the Giant Cobra, which is obviously a purple steel card. Benja was like one of the last ones, but it was really Smee and Pete. Like if you play Ruby, you play Flynn Rider onto, and Flynn Rider's just not very good this meta. And Pete's great this meta, Benja's great this meta, and Smee's the best 2-drop in the game. So that's what made me go for Amethyst Steel.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt you. But...
What's that?
Smee's a nice second place.
Look, Wonderland. You gotta understand, Wonderland's big, all in on Doc. Okay, so you're being very offensive with your Doc slander.
So I love Doc. I played Doc all our set, right? So
yeah, you drew the. We were talking in your game. You're like, you had plays, and I was like, well, I think Speci's not gonna ink his goat. He's just gonna play the Benja, and he's going to try to get every bit of lore and advantage from his cards he can. And then you drew the Chromicon, and I'm like, nope, now he's inking and playing the 1-drop. He's going to go like as aggressive as he can because he's drawing 2 cards a turn. And you did exactly that. And like, honestly, I feel most of your plays, like 99.9% of your plays I would have done. The only thing I did not care for was when you sang Look at This, or All in the Family, or
yeah, and I think that also, that play just shows you how bad the card is in this deck, because again, I had to submit this without playtesting, unfortunately. Look at this family, like it looks good on paper, but what ends up happening is it ends up just sitting in your hand and it's an uninkable. So I think the card is that bad in that position that I just wanted to get rid of it. I just didn't want it in my hand anymore, even though it was like 1 lore later. I bet it basically nothing, right? It's terrible. I really don't like it.
So
but I just didn't want the card in my hand. I wanted like more options available to me, right?
It is interesting. Normally you don't want to sing it, but singing it on a 1 lore thing, you're basically just saying, I need to draw a card. And like, that's what you did. The only reason I didn't care for it necessarily is I thought you could have saved it maybe a turn.
I can see it.
It ended up not mattering. Like, you hard cast the next one, and I was like, yeah, I like that. Like, yes, that's exactly what he needs to be doing. This way he can quest with the rest. And like, you got exactly there. The other funny thing I wanted to note, 2 funny things, is when you shook one of them at the screen, I was just like, he's definitely telling his chat right now that this should be Maleficent and he hates the card. Was that what you were saying on your chat when you shook?
Yeah, look at this family is just really not good in this deck. Like, it looks good on paper, but the reality is it just sits in your hand, and
it's like
it doesn't do enough. Like the fact that I would sing it with the White Rose with Quest for 1 is just it's just not good. I think the card might have a place
good, but you want them later. You want to top deck it.
Exactly.
You have like 6 or 7 ink. You want to play it, gain a free lore, play a new card. You do not.
But the reality is like, it's bad more often than it's good, because it sits in your hand, and it goes back to like the Ed thing that he said after winning his DLC. You've got like inkable cards which you really don't want to ink, like you really don't want to be inking like Pete's and that sort of thing in this deck in this matchup. So that's why I ended up singing it with the White Rose, because like if you have, the only way you would sing Look at This Family and feel happy about it is if you're singing it with a Reckless card, or if you've got like some action synergy, right? Like you've got a Muses on the board, or you've got something like Ratagon, which I think is like when you play an action, you gain a lore. But in this deck, it's completely pants, and it just it should not be in the deck.
Well, fortunately for you, during this round of LCCC, you will be able to change your deck list staying within the same colors going into that next round. So
what I'll be doing.
that could be some changes that you can make. But can I just hear some of your ideas? What you plan on bringing in? If you want to just kind of spoil some of your deck, I'll kick it to you, and then whatever you're willing to share, and then we'll kick it back to Sailor. See what changes he would make, and then we can talk about that really briefly before we probably have to sign this thing up, as the next round is going to be starting here soon.
Yeah, I mean, part of it depends on who I think I'm playing against, because obviously there's some definite mind games. I don't know how clear it's going to be and how predictable it'll be to see who you're playing against. Obviously, I could switch it up completely. I could go for like a slower version of Amethyst Steel, where you like grind out the game more. I could go for like a dock deck. Most likely, I'll just stick with what I've got, putting Maleficent in the deck. But I do also have a spicy Jafar deck I cooked up, which if I went into the losers bracket, it might have come out, but we'll have to see how I feel. I'll definitely test the Jafar deck some. Most likely, I'll just be playing this. I think the deck's the best way to play Amethyst Steel this set. I think you just go full story mode, as we're calling it. I really think that is going to be strong against the rest of the field who play Sapphire decks and are quite slow to get going.
Okay. How about you, Sailor? Any thoughts on what you're potentially playing in the next round? I don't, without tipping your hand completely, but any cards that you're looking at, any text that you're looking at going into round number 2, because you're gonna have to grind the double elimination losers bracket here. So, what are your thoughts going into round number 2?
There's very many ways to build Ruby Sapphire, so I'm not too concerned about that. We're gonna be looking at like who am I playing against. Obviously, there's many ways to build it, right? So you can go more an item route, more Tomatoas, less like dye, more Pirate's Life, right? That's all sorts of things. I'm pretty happy with the list that I submitted. I think it's pretty good. And I think it was the right call, even though I didn't know I would be facing Amethyst Steel. Just so to draw a little bit better next time.
Okay. So I'm hearing here first. Sailor said he's going to run it back. Okay, run it back. No, I'm kidding. Gentlemen, I just want to thank both of you for providing a little bit of your time to the LCCC. It is becoming an incredible part of the game, and a lot of people have tuned in, and people really enjoy it. So your volunteership and your work to provide this type of research and study helps the greater Lorcana more than you probably ever know. So I do appreciate it. Thank you both for joining us.
I have one last thing to say, if I may, as well.
Yeah, me too.
I also just want to echo that, like, thanks to Sailor for the game. Like, pleasure playing against him. Thanks to casters, judges. Huge thank you to Pavel for organizing, but also for like this incredible software. And while a lot of people might be watching, I wanted to mention I've been moaning at Pavel for months and saying, please, can we get the hardcore ladder on Pixelborn Connect? And he's just added it. And I am calling out all the top players in the game to come play on Pixelborn Connect and see who can get rank 1 on the ladder, because I think it will be really fun for the community to get back chasing the top rank on the ladder. And I really recommend it. It's really, really fun. It's best of 3s. It's super, super fun. It's super easy to do. So I really encourage more people to get on and play, but also especially to the top players. I want to see like some really big names practicing on Pixelborn Connect. That would be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say thank you to the judges, to the casters. I'm sure 100% that you did a fantastic job, and thanks for everybody watching, and Pavel and everybody competing. So have fun in the LCCC, and it was like a pleasure to just kick this off.
Absolutely. It was a blast to be here. And that was Sailor and Speci for round number 1 of the LCCC. Wonderland, it was a great time to be here with you, man. If you guys haven't done so, please make sure you're following this channel. There's so much high-profile Lorcana action that is taking place here. If you're just coming here for the LCCC, make sure you stick around. The ICL is also happening here. This is the home of the ICL. It's basically the same thing. It's very highly contested, competitive Lorcana action happening here. So make sure you guys are subscribed, and make sure you guys are following this program. And also, just like Speci said, make sure you're getting on Pixelborn Connect. It's free to use. It is a lot of fun. You can meet a lot of interesting people. You can play the game as much as you like. So make sure you're supporting that. And also the judges and staff of the LCCC for making this thing a possibility. So I really appreciate it. I love being here. I love being a part of this. Hopefully I can continue to be a part of this as much as it is readily available. And I'm so excited to see what happens next. Luke, what do you got, man? I'm ready.
Oh, man. I mean, we're about to probably just sit and chat for a hot while. The shout-outs got done. Luckily, obviously, big shout-out to Pavel and the judges, all the players who are playing. It takes effort to set aside a point in time in your day. Like, people have jobs. We're not all content creators. Like, normally events are on the weekends, right? So, like, people have to juggle their families and their jobs. And we're also doing it from like the NA versus EU, or just like half the players from each. So there's huge time constraints. So it's like really awesome that these players are able to set things up to give us this content to watch. So big shout outs to everyone who's doing it. That is just so awesome of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For
sure. It shapes the game, man. Game meta defining, meta setting. You know, people are going to watch this and they're going to make these decks for their set championships and for their local series and all that kind of stuff. So it's been really, really incredible. It happened last time. I'm certain it's going to happen again. All right. So you want to